I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Mister, will you please wake up?
Malone will inbound. Fisher's in the game. Walton, O'Neal, and of course Bryant.
And everyone is paying attention to Kobe Bryant.
They start with Shaq. He gives it to Walton. Here comes Kobe. Less than 5 from way outside. Got it! Oh, man! With 2.1.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait. Are you kidding me? Do you believe it?
And we now have 2 more who enter into the NBA playoffs conference semifinal round. Congratulations to the Warriors and the Bucks for advancing in a couple of gentlemen sweeps last night. We will touch on those 2 games. We'll touch on the 3 games that is on tap for tonight. We will delve into the NFL draft, which starts tonight, the first round. And I'll talk about how the draft lays out for those who are unaware of how it does. And I have a couple of other tidbits I want to speak on. Good morning, everybody. This is the abbreviated Thursday edition of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. I am one half of that dynamic duo, Cole Johnson. As you can see, nobody's riding shotgun with me. My partner, Brian, is still convalescing. And he is still doing well, and he is still building himself stronger, and he will be back better than ever before. The plan is Monday, but it might be at another time. We are playing it all by ear. And if you want to be a part of this show, because it's not just myself, it's not just Brian, it's not just Wise or any of the other contributors that we have, like Chris Bass or Sam Shady or Ben Sutter III, or a myriad of others that we will bring on the show. No, you are part of this as well. We are on YouTube live right now. That's right. Go to Snowman in the Morning 50. That is Snowman in the Morning 50. That is Snowman in the Morning 5 to the 0 on YouTube.com. And you can interact with the family. That's right. The SITM with Cole Johnson family. That's right. My man, Sig Diggy, my man, Ryan McCarthy, my man, Andrew, the new member of the family, Ethan, Trisha, Latine, that Critical Broncos fan, Nate. Man, Nate, we miss you, brother. Come on back. Be a part of that. Be a part of that family because we love you. We also are on the BS3 network on TV. That's right. I'm on TV. Well, this show is on TV. You can find it on Roku every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern. That'll be 5 a.m. on the Pacific Coast, 7 a.m. where I reside, 6 a.m. if you are in Denver or in Albuquerque or somewhere where Yellowstone is located. Just been watching the show as of late. Let's get to, before I do get to that, Sick, right on cue, says, good morning, Houston. Good morning. Yes. Good morning to my hometown. I don't live there now, but good morning to my hometown. Love Houston. We'll always love it. All right, let's get to business, shall we? We have 2 game 5s that we have to touch on lightly. And I should say one that I want to touch on lightly. The other I will touch on considerably, but I will try not to take so much time with it. The Bulls simply did not want to show up, and they held out Alex Caruso. Oh my. And it basically just held him out and was like, okay, well, you all just simply, let's plan for the summer right now. 116-100 loss they took to the Bucks, ending 3 consecutive thumpings that the Bulls took at the hands of the Bucks. And I know this disappoints my partner Brian because he is a Chicago native and he does love the Bulls. But all right, before I go into that, so you had Williams who paced away for the Bulls with 23. You had Vucevic who also paced away with 19. You had White off the bench with 17 and Brown with 10. Unfortunately, you had DeRozan who seemed to already check out. 5 or 10 from the field, 11 points. The game really was not in doubt. Milwaukee had a 16-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and they just coasted from there. They seriously did. They just simply just put the foot on the throat early and just kept it on them. That's what a champion's supposed to do. When they smell blood, they're supposed to go for the kill, and they did. And speaking of the defending champs, Giannis Antetokounmpo, efficient game. 33 points, 9 rebounds, 3 dimes. Lopez with 12 points. You had Portis with 14. You had Holiday with 10. Off the bench, you had Connaughton, who just simply couldn't miss a 3 with 20. 6 of 9 from deep. And you had Allen with 13. 6 double-figure scores. Now, if the Bucks can have 6 players to go in double figures along with Giannis boogieing like he has, if he gets his average I think this year is 27, 28. If he gets around there and he has 5 other people who score in double figures and they play that same defense they played on the Bulls the last 3 games, you're going to have another thing coming if you think you're going to unseat the champs. 6 says, "What's good, everybody?" All right, so I'll touch on the Bucks momentarily, but let me give my flowers to the outgoing Bulls. Now, they started off wonderful. They started off the season great, and they held the number 1 seed for a while, actually, and that was until injuries started to pile up on them. And they had injury after injury after injury. They still fought. They still made it to the playoffs. And they even got a game on the defending champs. With a depleted lineup, they were not going to go but so far. And this was as far as it was supposed to go. DeRozan, I think, basically ran out of gas. And when you have a stud who has the ability to hoist a team on his shoulders and say, "Let's go," that's wonderful. But as I will talk about in the other game, one man can only carry the rest of the team but so far. And as good as DeRozan is, the Bulls with their injuries and the players that are left just weren't enough. Now, as for the Bucks, they now advance to the conference semifinals, and we have one of the 4 of the conference semifinal matches already set. Yes, the Bucks and the Celtics will clash, and that to me is going to be a great series. You have, I think, you have a team in the defending champs who want to prove that they're not a 1-year fluke, and you have the Celtics who they want to prove that the green is back. And I think they have a little bit of a point to prove because, if I'm not mistaken, the last time these 2 teams met in the playoffs, and I think this was 2019, in the same round, conference semifinals, the Celtics won the first game. Paul Pierce, after that first game, famously said the Bucks will win the series after game 1. The Bucks, gentlemen, swept them out the playoffs. Oh gosh, that was some great television. Then he had to be with a bunch of hoes, and ESPN decided to boot him off. But I'm sorry, that's beside the point. You have a team that you have a team in the Bucks that I think they believe they can slow down the tempo, and if they do, if they get you in a half-court offense grind, they will take care of business. I think that's how the Bucks feel. The Celtics feel they can run up and down, but they want to take the best player out of commission. This is where I find it challenging. Giannis Antetokounmpo is not just your average best player on the team. He definitely is, at worst, one of the top 5 in the NBA. Trying to slow him down will be a Herculean task. And when you play team defense, to do that and be locked in and say this one guy has to not be efficient, and we have to get him out of the spots that he usually likes and feels comfortable shooting in, that's where you have problems. Now, if they can execute that, I think the chances are good that the Celtics can win. Now, I'll talk further about how these 2 teams will match up and what I think the series is going to be later. But we now have our first of 4 conference semifinal matchups. The Bucks versus the Celtics, and that's going to be a good one. That is going to be a good one. Now, to the folks at the BS3 Sports Network, my man Ivan, my man Ben, what is up, everybody? BS3 says, Sig Diggy. Yeah. Now, going to the other first round matchup, game 5 last night in the other gentleman's sweep that we saw, the Nuggets game. They were game in San Francisco against the Warriors, but it just was the Warriors' night. And when I mean game, I mean the Nuggets came to fight. They they matched the Warriors' energy point for point, and then they decided to say, you know, we don't want to have the end of the season happen just yet. So they spread it out to a lead in the third quarter. And the Warriors slowly chipped away and chipped away and chipped away. And as I said yesterday, they did it the way that I described it. They hit you with some threes. Then the defense will have to guard the arc. And then they hit you with backdoor cut at the backdoor cut at the backdoor cut. The defense slides back to protect the rim. And then the threes kept raining down again. So 102-98 was the final score. The final score actually is indicative of how the game went because it was nip and tuck for much of the game, except for I would say the third quarter. I think that was a quarter where Denver basically ruled it, and parts of the fourth quarter where the Warriors did. For the Nuggets, you had Gordon, who he seemed to step up the last 3 games. He finished up with 15. Barton finished up with 14. Morris with 14 as well. Cousins off the bench with 19, 2 of 3 from 3 along with it. And if we could see that going into next year with the Nuggets, and you add a healthy Jamal Murray, you add a healthy Michael Porter Jr. with a Nikola Jokic, lethal. And Jokic again, being the stud that he is, being the MVP candidate that he is, and defending MVP champion that he is, 30 points, 19 boards, 8 dimes. This guy said, you're going to have to kill me because I'm going to fight. And I love that. That's why I have such the respect for this man, because he never mails it in. Never mails it in. Oh, and then along with it, if you think he just is offense, 2 blocks as well. So this guy doesn't mail it in. So I have a huge amount of respect for Jokic. A huge amount of respect for that big man. For the Warriors, who were going to the conference semifinals, you had Green with 11. He had a key 3 in the fourth quarter. You had Wiggins with 12. You had Thompson with 15. You had Peyton II also with 15. He had 3 of 4 from 3. I'm sorry. Poole with 8. He's calmed down and cooled off a little since the first 2 games of the series. But of course, it is the straw which stirs the Warriors' drink. It has been since 2009, who stirred the drink again for the Warriors last night. Curry with 30 points, 5 boards, 5 dimes, 2 steals. Wasn't the greatest shooting night for him. 10 of 22 from the field. 5-11 from 3. So he did his average. And he was on in the third and fourth quarter, which when he's locked in, he is a beast to handle. He may be little, but that dude gets the job done. So now the Warriors are the first team in the Western Conference to enter into the conference semifinal round. Now they await the winner of the Timberwolves and the Grizzlies. Now, of course, I think the Warriors are hoping that this goes a game 7. As a fan, I hope it goes another 2 games too, because I believe that series deserves to have 7 games. But the more games that the Timberwolves or Grizzlies play, the better it is for the battle-tested and battle-weary Warriors. The more rest they can get, the better off they'll be and the fresher they'll be. But they await the winner of that series. Now, if it is the Timberwolves, the Warriors have home court. If it's the Grizzlies will have home court. But they will be watching just like us. Six says, good morning, BS3. Hope everything is fine with you. Now, I'll take a small reset and we will talk about tonight's matchups. Yeah, on the other side.
In case you bronzexuals don't know by now, LeBron has never been the face of the NBA, although people want to claim he's the face of the NBA. When there's a fellow in Oakland, California that kind of snatched the mantle from Kobe by hitting a three in his face, what impact has LeBron James had on the NBA? I'll answer that for you. Nothing.
Jabroni, Jabroni.
Welcome back to Snowman in the Morning.
Cruising along on this Thursday abbreviated edition of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. I'm one half of that duo, Cole Johnson. The other half is convalescing at home, and he's going to make his triumphant return soon. Can't wait to hear it. Can't wait to see it, and can't wait to see him. Now, tonight, we have 3 matchups going. All game 6s. All right, let me get the one that I really dislike the most out the way, or like the least out the way. You have the you have the Sixers and the Raptors. The 76ers make me sick simply because they should have put this team away in Toronto over the weekend. They BS'd. They decided not to show up in Toronto. They decided to not to show up even more when they came back home. And we have this 7 p.m. tip-off tonight in the Great White North. And I'll say it. I think we're going to see a Game 7 in this series. I don't want to see it, but I believe we will see it. Why? Because even though Fred VanVleet is a little on the injured side or a little on the hurt side, the energy that Scotty Barnes, the reigning rookie of the year, brings to that team cannot be said enough. And it's because of that energy that he brings to the Raptors, that youthful energy, that youthful exuberance that helps out others, Anunoby and Trent Jr. and Siakam. It helps them. It gives them a boost. And then, of course, they're at home. So role players normally play better at home than they do on the road. And also role players, and I've seen this with experience looking at the 94, 95, and even the 93 Rockets. When role players see that your man is cooking and you have momentum, even if you're on the road, those role players, even if they don't have the experience, they'll show up even on the road. But you got to feel as though the whole team has momentum and they're confident. We're coming along those lines for the Raptors. They're confident. They now know they can not only beat the Sixers in Philly, they can smack the crap out of them in Philly. So if they feel as though, well, if we can do that once, we surely can do it twice. And I think they will have the opportunity to do it a second time, because I just do not see the Sixers closing it out on the road. Now, I could be wrong, but I would say that if Embiid was fully healthy, then yes, I would say that this is a no-brainer. This is a non-starter. We will be talking about the Sixers and the Heat in the next round. But no, that's not the case. Embiid's thumb is messed up, and he will not get surgery on it until the offseason. You have James Harden, who's being called out and not being aggressive enough, but I believe he's playing exactly the way he normally plays in the playoffs, which means that he's going to have large diminishing returns. There's going to be more and more and more of a disappearing act, because that's just how he rolls. You have a Tobias Harris, who he needs to have an impact, but the way the team rolls, he's going to have less and less of one. And you have a Tyrese Maxey, who he needs to be the second leading scorer on this team, period. I will say it again. Maxey needs to be the second leading scorer on this team, period. And if he is not, the success of the Sixers goes down the toilet. Now, here's what bodes well for the Sixers. There has never been a team that has had a 3-0 series lead in the NBA that has lost that lead in the series. That's lost the series. Now, of course, we've seen it, I think, once in hockey. We definitely seen it once in baseball, but we have not seen this in the NBA. Now, like I said, the only time I can recall a team being up 3-0, but they still had to play a seventh game was the 1994 Nuggets when they were in the Western Conference semifinals and they played the Jazz, and they went to Utah and they had to play Game 7. And that Nuggets team was awesome because we saw them come from out of nowhere. And then in that seventh game, you saw them basically run out of juice in that game. If that were to be the case with the Raptors, I don't think if they have the opportunity to get a Game 7, I don't think they will run out of juice. So, yes, my prediction, I think the Raptors are going to claim their third straight win. Game 7 will be back in Philly. And the collar, which is already tight on Doc Rivers, will be even tighter. Because remember, he already has a 3-1 series lead that turned into a loss in Orlando, a 3-1 series lead that turned to a loss when he was coach of the Clippers. And if he were to have a 3-0 series lead that turns into a loss here with Philly, the talk will be, well, you may be a champion and you may have taken a team to the finals a second time, but man, your team is tight when it comes to the playoffs. And I can't help but think that they're tight now. 6 says the Warriors will be coming into the next round well rested and prepared. By the way, Cole, the Warriors are battle tested and battle hardened. Other teams might be battle weary of the Warriors. And I think they are. For the possible exception of the Grizzlies, I think they are. And the only reason why I say that I think the Grizzlies might not be weary of them is because I think they had the activity on defense to do it. But like I said to you yesterday, Sick, the Warriors believe that no team can in 48 minutes put forth that defensive pressure against the Warriors and stop them. The Grizzlies are arrogant is not the right word for them. Confident enough to take that challenge on. And they proved that they could do it in one game. They haven't proven it yet that they could do it in the series. And if they get past the Timberwolves, I think that's what we will see. Other than that, I think every other team would be battle weary of the Warriors too. I agree. Sick also says, Cole, is James Harden's get lackadaisical energy starting to influence the 76ers? Oh, man. Damn! See, this is why I love the SITM fam, because they see exactly what Brian and I see. This is why one time when Brian wanted me to do this bump, I had to laugh when he gave me the audio. But that statement, Sick, the statement I'm about to put on here too, that statement right there is the reason why I did Brian and I did this particular bump.
If I were Joel Embiid, knowing the fact that James Harden is your teammate and you're going to have to trust him after the month of April, I'd run like hell. This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson, the show with the hottest of hot takes and the coldest of cold hard facts. Facts, that is.
Because that's exactly why I thought the 76ers would be sunk. Because Harden's energy can mess a team up. And I have said that often. Look, I got a chance to see. Oh, and I see you, Sam. I see you, bro. I see you. It's not as if we have no history of this guy doing this. I could go back to 2017 2015, they just got their feet wet basically as a team that could contend. 2017 was the time when I started to see it, where after they lost Game 5 of the conference semifinals against the Spurs, the Rockets, I mean, Harden checked out and the team checked out with them. And as soon as Harden checks out, the team follows his lead and checks out with them. And I saw it again the next year in 2018, saw it again in 2019. I saw it again in 2020. We didn't get a chance to see it last year because he was injured. I think we're starting to see that this year. No, Sam, I'm not avoiding the comment. No, I'm saving it for last. But but that is why I really do not have the faith and the hope in the 76ers. They have hitched their wagon to this guy who seems to not have any type of playoff success where you could say, wow, this team won. You can say he's won a series, yes, but this team has won a playoff stretch because of him. You can't say that. You can't say that. And the energy that Embiid has in wanting to push this rock over the hill, to have the inertia take over and have people be bowled over by the 76ers force and Embiid's will, to me, it got stifled by having Harden on the team. So yes, Sick, I 100% agree with your question, because I think his energy does adversely affect the 76ers. And yeah, I know, Mr. Snow, you're seeing that. I hope you heard that, and I hope you're smiling, because we have people in the chat loving it and feeling the exact same thing we have felt about Harden for many years. Oh, I'm sorry. Tip off of that game is 7 p.m. Eastern. The second game I'm going to cover, the Pelicans at home against the Suns. Tip off is 7:30 p.m. Eastern. It's almost been like a tale of two strategies. Like when the Suns cook, everything is great, and when the Suns don't, you normally see the pairing of McCollum and Ingram rise to the occasion. Not saying that McCollum and Ingram shrink when they haven't. They seem to have good games when they lose, but they seem to have great games when they win. Why I said it, and I have said it. The key to this series, and I think if I'm not mistaken, Sick, I think you said this too, man. The key is CP3. If he has his normal game, and to me, when I say normal, anywhere around 18 points, it could be 17 or 16, it could be 19, 20. Anywhere around 18 points, I would say about maybe 4 or 5 rebounds. It could be more than that. I'd say about between 8 and 12 assists. If Chris Paul has that type of line, or it's anywhere near that type of line, the Suns will win, because it means the others are active. Bridges and Payne and Aiden and others, they're active, and they will need to have more activity with them, because they got to replace 27 points in Devin Booker. I know, I read that he might try to make his way back. I don't want to rush him back, because I really do not believe they need Devin Booker to win this series. I know it sounds strange, it sounds funny, but I don't think they need Devin Booker to win this series. They need him to win the series after. And they most certainly need him to win the series if they were to play the Grizzlies or the Warriors. But if they have to match up, I believe they will match up against the Mavs. I do not think they're going to match up against the Jazz. Devin Booker is necessary for that series, because you need to have somebody who could physically cancel out Luka Doncic. So you could say that, well, Cole, you need a Devin Booker to have someone cancel out McCollum. True. But I think because you don't have much after Ingram and McCollum, I'm not saying you don't have anybody, period, but you don't have much in terms of a consistent player who can put points on the board like an Ingram and a McCollum. The Suns could spread out equal contribution with many different players. And if they could do like if Crowder were to have a moment where he has 12, 13, 14, 15 points, or Portis were to have that game, or Payne or Bridges, you stretch that out. Any two of those names I mentioned, you stretch them out and you have Aiden at least give you 15 along with that. And you have Chris Paul who gives you the 18, the 12, and the 18 to 12 and the 5. You do that, then I believe you have what it takes for the Suns tonight even to close this series out and go on to the next round. But if you have Paul do what he did in game 4 and only score 4 points in any game against any opponent they play, even if you have Devin Booker on the team, unless he decides to go off for 60 in that game, the Suns lose. And I know that is a slap in the face in terms of, well, Devin Booker had an MVP type season. He did. But people will look at Chris Paul and say, well, the team's fortunes rise and sets on him. And in this series, it does. 6 says, to borrow a term, James Harden is a Debbie Downer. Yeah, he is. He most certainly is. All right, so but what the Suns need to do is they need to have Paul be interactive. They need Paul to be in the flow, and they need to get Paul in the flow early. I'm not talking about scoring. I'm just talking about he just needs to be in the flow offensively. He needs to be rewarded for the dishes that he puts forth. Reward him by being in position to where he sets you up. If you're any of the other 4 players on the court, get him in the flow where he feels as though he is affecting the game everywhere else. And then in the fourth quarter, let him take over with his expert mid-range jumper game and maybe hit a 3. And then you can go home, go back to Phoenix, cool your jets, and await to mean the Mavs. But get Paul flowing early. In every other facet of the game, the Suns will check this series off. They will say goodbye to the Pelicans in 6, shake their hands, say they all gave us a tough run. We hope that we see you next year. Great competitors, and you go back to the desert waiting for your next opponent. And tonight, I think that's what's going to happen, because I really believe Paul feels as though that he has a team where he can actually do what he set out to do when he became a Sun, which is to get a ring. And I believe he feels as though this team can do it. And seeing that Booker can come back, I think that helps him even more. So I believe that we're going to see a game 7 with the Raptors and Sixers. I think the series closes out tonight with the Suns and the Pelicans. The 10 p.m. tip-off, the late game out in Salt Lake City between the Mavs and the Jazz. All I got to say is, Mavericks, please put the Jazz out of their misery. This team is playing well in spite of itself. I think they're going to have some energy. They're going to feel that pressure to be in the moment. They're going to have that pressure to contribute. You're going to have Gobert, who's going to try to be a beast on the defensive end and in the post and in the paint. And you're going to have Donovan Mitchell, who's going to chunk up shot after shot after shot. Whether they go in or not, it doesn't matter, but he's going to chunk those shots up. I'll circle a key that I think people don't talk about. Mike Conley needs to be the Uber distributor. He does not need to disappear like most times he was when he was a Grizzly and many times now as a Jazz. He needs to be a contributor. He doesn't necessarily need to score a lot, but he needs to have a lot of dimes. He needs to influence the game somehow. And if he has a lot of dimes, that means other people other than just Bogdanovich and Mitchell are scoring. And that is what the Jazz needs. They need to have scoring all across the board. And if they can do that, they will force a Game 7 back in Dallas. But the wave of Luka Doncic. Did you see that 25-point thumping that they gave the Jazz back home Monday? This is the team that I believe Mark Cuban, the owner of the Mavericks, dreamed about ever since he hoisted that trophy, the Larry Bryant trophy last, which has been now 11 years ago. This is the team I think he wants to have. Now, will they hoist that trophy again this year? No. But he has a superstar in Luka who, when he gets going, he's hard to stop. And he now has a number 2 in Jalen Brunson who, if Luka is not really going, Brunson probably can. And you have other pieces too, Dinwiddie and Hardaway Jr. and others. You have pieces there who can accentuate what Doncic and Brunson can bring. And I think that's what's going to happen here. So for the slate of games tonight, I see 2 closeouts and a Game 7. I believe we will see the two teams that will match up against one another advance tonight, which would be the Suns and the Mavericks. Because once they win, they'll advance to the conference semifinals. They'll match up against each other. And we will see the ailing Sixers. And when I mean ailing, I mean mentally, not necessarily physically. The ailing Sixers have the noose tighten harder on the neck. And they have to fend off a Raptors team that is building extreme confidence in a Game 7 back at Wells Fargo. 6 says, seems like Ingram and McCollum are adverse to pressure. In a losing game, they play as though they got nothing to lose. Yeah, and I think that's the biggest issue that I see with that tandem. It's like they go through the motions. They're talented, but it's like they need to have that pressure on them. And if they don't have it on them, they just sunk in the water. Sick also says, basically, the Suns need to follow CP3's lead, and they'll be on the right track. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ryan says, good morning, Cole, and good morning to everyone watching. Happy Thursday, and a happy Thursday to you, fam. Love you as always, Ryan. Thank you so much. Now, when we come back, we'll take a short pause for the cause. We're going to touch on the big event for tonight, and that is the NFL Draft. Round 1 tonight in Vegas. We'll touch on that. This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back.
When you want to talk, I'm here.
You're so right for me, and I'm right for you. I love the things you do.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
You operate this Twitter thing, Dr. K, by going to official SIT Morn. That's official SIT Morn. That is the official Twitter and Instagram address. And that's how you maneuver through the Instagram thing or the Twitter thing. It's great to hear your voice, Dr. K. Thank you for taking care of my boy, Brian, and he will be back very soon. This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. One half of that duo is here. I am Cole. And we talked about the NBA. I think it's now time to talk about the NFL. Before that, I will say, Six says good morning to you, Ryan, and happy Thursday to everybody. I see you stuck in my mind, Wise. I will address that a little later. Now, we are tonight in the throes of the NFL draft. And to me, this is one of the best sporting nights of the year. And the reason why I say that is because you can see hopes and dreams of teams. It reflected in how they strategize in the draft. And this is really interesting. You don't feel this energy with the NHL draft as much energy. I'll put it that way. In the NHL draft, in the NBA draft, or in MLB's draft, it's a little different. I'm not saying it is worse. I'm just saying it's a little different, especially with MLB because teams are drafting most of these players to see how they will progress 3-4 years down the road and down the line. Very select few they select in, I think the draft normally takes place in June or July, and then they were on the field the following April in a major league ballpark. Very rare you see that. But the NFL draft, there's many things I complain about with the NFL. What they do get right is they create this moment as special. It's the Hall of Fame ceremony, which is in August. Of course, the Super Bowl. They've done such a great job with that particular vehicle. It is the most watched sporting event, hands down, and it competes with the most watched event in the United States, period, in a given year. So the NFL, if they know to do nothing else, they know how to put forth a spectacle and put on one. And to have now these spectacles be a traveling show like it's been the last few years, like it was in Chicago one year and Nashville one year, and now it's in Vegas this year. now you almost get the feel of, okay, not only is this a feeling of this is an event that we get to participate when we watch it, we can participate it and be at it and attend it. It's a wonderful thing. I think it's great to see former players introduce draft picks, former coaches, and former and legends come and have their moment of spotlight to represent their teams. It's just a great night. The first night, the whole experience is wonderful to me, but the first night is how it sets it off. All right, so for those who don't know how the NFL draft is set, this is how it rolls. The first round and only the first round takes place tonight. It's the second and third round that takes place tomorrow night. And then you have the last 4 rounds that takes place on Saturday. And round 1, normally the commissioner, Roger Goodell now in this case, introduces every pick normally. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, family. The second night, I believe they have a Shield rep introduce the second round draft picks. And I think in the third round draft picks, they have legends and current and former players introduce the picks then. And then you have that same thing from 4 to 7, but we don't really see too many of those TV moments then. You just see analysts talk about what the teams have done in the previous rounds and project how they're going to be as the year progresses. But this is when you see the hallmark moments, the tear-jerking moments, what if this guy goes here moments, or why did this guy go here, or why did this team decide to trade down, or in the case of Mitchell Trubisky with the Bears, why did this team trade up? You see these maneuvers, you see these strategies being played. And then you juxtapose that with the free agency period that we saw last month that to me seems to not have ended because you still have some lingering effects of it now. All we have to do is just look at Deebo Samuel, and that is the case. So before I delve further into what I believe we're going to see in terms of strategy, at least a little bit of it, here's the order of tonight's draft. So of course the Jaguars pick first. It's followed by the Lions, then the Texans, which they have not been in the first round since 2018 or 19. But it's been a minute since they've actually had a pick in the first round. Then it's the Jets, followed by the Giants. Then it's the Panthers. Then it's the Giants, and it was a gift. The second Giants first round pick, that was a gift from the Bears. Then the Falcons. Then the Seahawks. This was a gift from the Broncos. Of course, the Broncos received Russell Wilson for that draft pick. The Jets, that's a gift from the Seahawks. Then followed by, starting pick number 11, the Commanders, the Vikings, the second Texans pick. And, of course, that comes from the Browns. The Ravens, the Eagles, that's a gift from the Dolphins. The Saints, this is a gift from the Colts through the Eagles. Then the Chargers, the Eagles, that's a gift from the Saints. The Saints, that's a gift from the Eagles as they swapped draft order. Then the Steelers, the Patriots, the Packers, who they received this gift from the Raiders due to Devontae Adams. The Cardinals, the Cowboys, the Bills, the Titans, the Buccaneers, the Packers, the Chiefs. This is a gift from the 49ers through the Dolphins. The Chiefs again. Then the Bengals. Then the Lions. This is due in part to Matthew Stafford, because that's actually supposed to be the Rams pick. But the Lions are picking again in the first round. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's 7 teams that get an opportunity to have more than one pick in the first round, which that's a record. Another record is that there's 8 teams who won't be drafting in the first round. All the wheeling and dealing we have seen, it has absolutely been fantastic. It's been absolutely fantastic. 6 says, "What's up? Stuck in my mind. How you doing?" And Y says, "Hey, Sick." 6 says, "There is no limousine riding or jet flying. Possible kiss stealing from time to time, but there'll definitely be a whole lot of wheeling and dealing. Son of a guns." Whoa. Sorry. BS3 Network says, "The NFL draft is a movie." I mean, it is. I mean, it literally is a movie. It could compete with the Hallmark Network in terms of the tissue that ESPN and the NFL Network wants you to drum up, because they want you to be invested in the human stories of these athletes, of these football players, which that's cool. I don't mind that. I actually like that. It gets me more interested in the athlete as the person off the field. So I'm cool with that. But the production is just off the hook, off the chain. All right, so the Jaguars are on the clock. And if I'm not mistaken, I think let's just start at 8 Eastern. I gotta remember when it starts. I think it's either 7 or I think it's 8, either 7 or 8 Eastern. But the Jaguars are on the clock, and they already have the quarterback, so that's not a need for them. A need for them is either a stud left tackle or a pass rusher. And Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan and Tavon Thibodeau from Oregon. Pass rushers. So more than likely, it's going to be one of those two who get off the board for the Jaguars. And whoever is not picked from whoever is not picked from those two, the Lions will take the other. And I believe the Lions will be happy, because I think the Jaguars will pick Thibodeau, and I think the Lions will pick the hometown or home area or homegrown talent in Hutchinson. Now, the Texans could go in any which way. They need anything. Somebody on the line, a pass rusher, a wide receiver. I mean, you just take your pick. The Texans need them. Same thing with the Jets. But I would say for them, their biggest focus has to be offensive line. Their defense has gotten stout. It could get more stout, but I think they just need more offensive line presence. And I think Saleh wants to establish a running game. Robert Saleh, the head coach of the Jets. I think he wants to establish a running game. And if that's possible, they need to go offensive line. Same with the Giants. And I think they actually might go with the pass rusher too, because they haven't had one that really has stuck out since their Super Bowl days of O.C. Umenyiora and Michael Strahan and that crew, and Jason Pierre-Paul before he blew up his hand. Before he blew up a finger in his hand. Then you have the Panthers, who I know I can hear Jay Spivey in my ear right now. One of the family members of Snowman in the Morning. Just pick anybody. That team is so bereft of talent. Anybody will just do, which sucks. The Giants get their second pick. I think they go either offensive line and or defensive line with their first pick in their first pick, the second one in the first round. I smell wide receiver with that one for some reason. The Falcons, I think they'll be on the hunt for a quarterback. What else can the Falcons do? They have, to me, hit rock bottom in terms of talent. The Seahawks, well, they're in rebuild mode. And right now, Locke is their guy and quarterback, but I know they're not 100% sold on him. But they just need anything. And I think they need to build offensively, because they've had Russell Wilson run as if he has been in a marathon for many years. and he's been sacked the most, I believe, in the last 5. You have this. Then you have the Jets' second pick in the first round. I smell this one going either defensive line or offensive line here too. Maybe wide receiver. I see the Commanders. Are the offensive line wide receiver? I mean, defensively, they're good. I'm not saying they're great. They're good. But if they're going to pick anybody defensively, more than likely it'll be in their secondary or a linebacker. But I would say they probably pick a wide receiver. Let's see. Vikings. Anybody on the defensive front. Anybody defensive front 7. Linebacker, defensive end, defensive line. Anybody there, I think that's where they'll go. Same with the Texans here with this pick. At 13. Say at 14, the Ravens. The Ravens need to get a wide receiver to help out Lamar Jackson. And they also need to get rid of their current offense coordinator and get a traditional offense coordinator to help Jackson out further too. But Jackson needs to have a reliable wide receiver. I know Marquise Brown, yes, but how far can the Ravens go with Marquise Brown being their number 1 wide receiver? Wide receiver is what the Ravens need to go to at 14. The Eagles for sure need to go wide receiver at 15. There isn't a question about it in my mind with that. The Saints need offensive line help. Offensive line help and possibly defensive line help, because I don't think they have filled that void with Trey Hendrickson as he left them and went into the AFC champion Bengals. So I think the Saints probably need to look line either line. And I'll say this: they have a pick at number 16, pick at number 19. Whichever side of the line they don't pick in 16, I think they'll pick the other side of the line for 19. And they may have another eye toward wide receiver too, but I don't think they should, because they have decent wide receivers. Not great, but decent. I know Michael Thomas is there, but can you rely on him? That's the problem. Chargers, offensive line. There's not even a question. Where else? Maybe running back, but I'm like, defensive line, maybe. But I think they got helped by Khalil Mack being on the squad. Linebacking core, maybe. They can have one fill there. Secondary, stout. Wide receivers, full to the brim. Running backs, you could probably look there. Quarterback, Justin Herbert. Do I need to say anything more? So to me, offensive line. I can't see the Chargers looking anywhere else but there. The Eagles' second pick in the first round. Tight end? Maybe secondary. Tight end or secondary, I would say. I think if you can shore up one of those two areas, I think, along with getting the wide receiver, I think Eagles fan could say that they actually had a pretty good first round. If they could do that, I think they'll be good. And like I said with the Saints, offensive line and defensive line, whichever side of the line they did not choose at number 16, they need to choose that side of the line on number 19. The Steelers, I could see them try to trade up. Or they could stand pat and either get Pickett or Willis. But they're going to get a quarterback of the future. It's going to be one of those two. I see the Patriots. Wide receiver. Wide receiver. Offensive line is okay, but I think they probably need some help there. Defensive line, they probably need depth there, but I would say wide receiver. Packers wide receiver. I don't even have to look elsewhere with that. To me, I think they also need a lot of help defensive line front, in my opinion. Defensive line, I think that's what they need to focus on, but I think they feel the pinch of wide receiver, and I think they're going to go there first. And they have more than one pick in the first round. I think that's where they'll go. wide receiver and number 22. Cardinals number 23. They don't need wide receiver. They don't need tight end. I'm not really sold on the defensive line all that much. I know they got Chandler Jones as a pass rusher. They got J.J. Watt to man the center of it. But both are injury prone. So they need defensive line depth. They need linebacking core depth. And they need offensive line depth. One of those three areas they need to bolster. And if they decide to just simply go home run with a wide receiver or a secondary member or running back. And the reason why I'm not saying running back for the Cardinals in this particularly high up on the draft is because I think they can find some running back later in the draft because that is a need for them. But I think they'll probably search for him later. I don't think they'll go for running back in the first round. The Cowboys just need help. And I'm talking about mental help. No, I'm just joking. Whatever help that the Cowboys can get is fine. I think offensive line is probably where they need to go where they need to go most. This is one of the few teams where you go anywhere on the field and they actually are decent in talent. I'm not saying they're all great and they're Super Bowl contention worthy, but they're decent. But if there's a place where I think they need to go, offensive line is where they need to go because they're getting old in that area. So they need to start replenishing the studs that they had drafted back in 2014 and 13 and 14 and 15 and 16 and improve the depth there. The Bills are, to me, the Bills are the team that it's like wherever they go for a draft pick in the first round, it's just an embarrassment of riches because they are stout everywhere. I would actually say, why don't you actually strike out and go for a running back in the first round with them? But I wouldn't say that with any other team. But I would say that with them. Strike out and go for a running back in the first round. Please. Because I'm not going to say that Von Miller is the total answer for pass rusher, but that's a better answer than they've had in recent memory. They're pretty good in defensive line. They have studs for linebackers, but you rarely ever hear them. The secondary, oh my gosh. Either they will hit you or they will chase after the ball. Defensively, they're great. Offensively, the offensive line people rarely talk about them, but they're really good. They already have tight ends. They have wide receivers. Josh Allen is a great quarterback. Now, I probably say you probably need to get a backup for him. But the only place where I could say there's a glaring need for them to find somebody running back for them. But I would only say that for them. The Titans at 26. Pass rusher. They need a pass rusher in the worst possible way. They have run stoppers. They have a decent linebacking core. I'm not sold on it. Secondary is probably another area where I would say they need to go. Offensive line is okay. They could get depth, but I think they can get the depth later in the draft. Running back Derrick Henry doing need say anymore. They're not going to draft quarterback. They should because I'm not sold on Ryan Tannehill, but they are. Wide receiver, they're good, but they could probably stand to get better, and I think they can get a wide receiver later in the draft. Pass rusher is what the Titans need the most out of everything else. The Buccaneers, same thing. I think if they can get a pass rusher in this draft, I think they will be better. Offensive line is good. They just need to stay healthy, and they can build the depth later in later rounds for that. Same on the defensive line. They could build depth in later rounds for that too. Secondary is young, and they're getting better. Linebacking core is probably one of the best in the league. Wide receivers, well, I can't say they're slim. They're pretty good there. Running backs, well, they're pretty good. And they can find another one to replace Ronald Jones II. I would say pass rusher. That's really what they need more than anything. And let's see, the Packers at 28, which is I think they're what is it their third? No, it's their second. The Packers at 28. A special teams coach, but they can't draft him. The Packers. What can I say? I know they're gonna go wide receiver with the first draft pick they got in the first round. They had to go pass rusher in the second pick of the first round. They have to. They need to have an impact player on that side of the ball. And I can't think of pass rushers they've had in recent memory. I mean, I can think of good defensive players they've had. So Darius Smith is the best one they've had in recent memory. Now he's a Viking. But a pass rusher is what they need. And I think they need to bolster their linebacking core. So I think that's where they'll look. Chiefs at 29, wide receiver. Chiefs at 30. Pass rusher. They have gotten by with this bend but don't break defensive style. Pass rusher, pass rusher, pass rusher. Wide receiver with one pick, pass rusher the second pick. So they need somebody on defense that can put the pressure and the heat on the quarterback, because that will make it a little easier for the Chiefs to defensively operate the way they want to operate. The Bengals offensive line all day and night long. They need offensive line help. They need offensive line depth. They need offensive line anything. They need offensive line coaches. They need offensive line shirts. They need offensive line merchandise. They need anything that says offensive line or tackle, guard, center. The Bengals need to have it, because that is the focus for this team. Protect Joe Burrow at all costs. Offensive line Bengals, if they look anywhere else, I will think they're absolutely out of their minds. And the Lions, also offensive line for them for this second first-round draft pick. They might go for quarterback here. They just might. They just might go for quarterback here. So that's what I think the areas of these teams, when they pick where they pick, are going to pick for tonight. Now, I might be totally wrong, but that's just how it rolls. Good morning to you, Andrew. I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you. I appreciate you as always. Oh, man. I'll get to that in a minute, Wise. 6 says, BS3, I remember the ESPN documentary regarding the 1983 NFL draft, so I see your point. Yeah, definitely. With the first pick, 2022 NFL draft, the Jaguars, I cannot get Roger Goodell's voice the way I wanted to get it. The Jaguars select Ikem Igwenu, tackle. Well, I could see that in the sense of they need to have somebody to protect Trevor Lawrence's blind side. Almost said Sunshine. I was thinking, remember the Titans. So I'm like, no, that's not his name. Sunshine's not his name. Sunshine's not his name, Cole. Yeah, they need to have somebody to protect his back. I can see the Jaguars making a move like that, but they also need a pass rusher too, and I think they may roll there before they roll left tackle. They may do that in the second round, I think. Not him, but I think they will roll with the left tackle in the second round. Sam of Shady Sports Network says 1983, first ever USFL draft too. Yes, sir. Yes, it was. Ryan says that I can't wait for Trent Baalke to Leroy Jenkins this entire first round with the selection to Trayvon Walker. Oh my gosh. Eagles fan will be full-throating and booing the dickens out of Baalke. I know this because I work with not one, not two, not three, but 4 Eagles fans. They have admitted to me that he steps wrong. They're full-throated booing that man. Sam also says, Saints drafted a defensive end the first round last season, have Davenport. I think they might be set at defensive end. I agree, but I'm talking defensive tackle. When they look on the defensive front, I agree. I think they're set with the ends. I think they need a tackle because I think they want to shore up stopping the run, And if not there, I think linebacker. But I know they need to look defensively in the front seven somewhere. 6 says, just to ease the tension, I'd like to see Dave Chappelle and company take the podium as the refs for various teams. That would be great. That'd be great. Wyatt says, good morning to you, Andrew. Andrew says the same thing, and he hopes that everything is well, Wise. And Sick also says the same thing to you, Andrew. Wyatt says, I'm doing well, wishing it was Monday so I could do the show, man. Well, we'll be glad to have you sit beside us doing shotgun on Monday, bro. Andrew says, hey, Sick, I hope you're doing well as well. Ryan says, really? A pass rush over replacement for Ali Marpet? Interesting. Well, yeah. I'm not saying that this is exactly what they're going to do, but just leaning on what the team in general needs to do, that's what I'm feeling. And for those who don't know, Ryan is a Giants fan. Any help, I think, on either line for the Giants would be a market improvement. I mean, definitely offensive line help would be fine. I mean, because you do have to protect Jones and Barkley. So you might see that too from them. 6 says he's doing great, Andrew. Hope you're doing well. Andrew says, yep, Yankees won again and can't wait to see who the Giants draft. And he also says, hoping for offensive line and edge at 5 and 7, unless someone like Sauce Gardner is available. Stud corner. Yes. I think if he's there, 7 for sure. Definitely the Giants need to take him. and Ryan says, sunshine. Yeah. So that's what I'm feeling for the energy of the NFL draft tonight. Of course, there's going to be more tomorrow and more on Saturday. But it's going to be a fun-filled night. It is. And before I go, I got one more thing to take care of. So just one quick break. I'll be right back.
Have y'all even considered the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo, yes, that Jimmy Garoppolo that everyone wants to send everywhere else, may not be sent anywhere by the 49ers because, I don't know, they actually trust him?
Welcome back to Snowman in the Morning.
Winding it down on this abbreviated edition of Snowman in the Morning. Cole Johnson here. The other who comprised of the tandem is healing quite well. And Sam asked this question earlier. I did not avoid him, but I wanted to address it now. And so he asked the question, so when do we sing happy birthday? So for those who are unaware, today is my birthday, and I am so excited to celebrate another year, have another trip around the sun. I am excited to see what this next year brings because this last year has been the best year of my life. So I am ecstatic, excited, and I am waiting and brimming with excitement as to what's to come in the next 365 days. I feel so good. I really do. And thank you, Wise. Thank you. I appreciate the happy birthday wishes. And he asked, any birthday plans? Well, I really don't have anything special. And I don't think I feel anything special that's necessary. Look, I just came back, even though it wasn't a vacation of sorts, but I just came back from visiting my mother-in-law, and everything was cool. And I got the fulfillment that I want, to see her do well, see my wife do well, and to be amongst people like yourselves and my co-workers and managers and directors. Just seeing the joy of life. That's really the only plans I really do have. Now, will there be other plans that I'm unaware of that I will do? Possibly. I don't know. But I'm excited. Ryan had to correct me. He says, correction. I'm a Jets fan. Just endure the suffering. Oh, God. Why'd you have to make an acronym out the Jets, Ryan? You too much, man. Andrew says, remember the Titans. GOAT movie, a GOAT movie. Yes, it is. One of my favorites. And thank you, Sick. I appreciate that. Well, all I know is this. Next year will be 50. So I'm taking 49 in stride. I am loving life now. I really am I have no apologies for life. I have no regrets for it either. And one of the gifts that I actually received came about 3 months or 2 months early in actually being one half of this team, one half of this tandem, at least one half of the brand. And this was not one I asked. This was not something I even prayed for, but you know, it's like the Garth Brooks song. One of God's greatest gifts is unanswered prayers. This is one of these unanswered prayers that I got. And to have a partner in Brian Snow believe in me and say, yeah, I want you to be riding shotgun with me. I want you to work this in tandem and in concert with me. That's one thing. To have him say, I'm taking an hiatus, I'm letting you run the ship, and I'm giving you no other instructions other than you do the show as you see fit, is another. And I do not take this gift for granted. So, do I need to open any gifts for my birthday this year? No, because this is one of those gifts that I received that I didn't think I was going to receive. And I'm so happy to receive it. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. I really do. I really do. And I make no bones about this. I do look at the chat, the SITM fam, and I do consider you family because you all have embraced me like I've been a long lost brother, and I appreciate all of you. I mean, all of you. Of course, I appreciate working alongside Wise. That dude is absolutely phenomenal. But I mean, seeing Sick and Andrew and Ryan and even Ethan, who came aboard as of late, and Trisha and Latine, and even that critical Cowboys, that critical Broncos fan, BS3 Network, Ben himself, Ivan. Just seeing all the love that I've received, just even sitting in this seat and having this mic in my mouth, being able to simply give forth these sport takes the way I see it, and having y'all say, you know what? You're pretty good. From the chat, that's really all the gift I need. So you're talking to a happy man. 49 and counting. And I'm happy that I'm counting. Happy to say that I'm that age. Happy to say that I'm doing well. Happy to be breathing that air. Happy to be a member of the Gen X generation. And happy to be one very fortunate sports fan that has so many takes that I sometimes amaze myself at them. So what am I going to do on this birthday today? I'm just going to celebrate being alive. Just celebrate the wonderful day that this is. Celebrate it for the gift that it is. And I look at all of you as gifts. All of you. The ones who are listening to me now, the ones who are viewing me now. And to the giver of this particular gift in Brian Snow, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. No happy birthday wish needs to come from your lips. You gave me your gift to me this year by having me be part of this platform, to the point where now my name is on it. And you did all this without my asking for it. So thank you, brother. Thank you. I love you, brother. Thank you for this gift of being a part of this family. Now, I wish I can continue this, but unfortunately, I have to head on out because, Ryan, I don't want you to endure the suffering. But with the Jets, that's exactly what you're going to be doing, sir. I'm so sorry. Six says the gift of joy is a wonderful thing. Yes, it is, man. Yes, it is. And all of you give me that gift every single day, and I thank you for that. So if you want to subscribe to the show, if you don't know how to do it, just go on to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and you'll get all the content coming from here, whether it's a small snippet, whether it's the show that we do every Monday through Friday starting at 8 a.m. Eastern, or whatever content that comes from here. Not even sports related. Yeah. Just going to youtube.com/C/Snowman in the Morning 50. That's where you can find it, find us, and hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Ryan says, happy birthday to me. Another year, blessings to me. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that, brother. And I will take that and run with it. You can find me other than here on Cole Sports with the Z on YouTube. That's Cole Sports with the Z on YouTube. youtube.com/C/Cole Sports with the Z. You can find those takes that I do. It's similar to here, but it's a little different because, well, I have different shows and different segments there that I don't have here. But it's a joy to be amongst all of you. And that'll do it today for this installment, this abbreviated installment of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. I am one half of that duo, Cole Johnson. And I'm here to say, take care and God bless. And remember, make it next week your best move. And always remember, your dreams don't scale and they're not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in to Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. The hottest of hot takes and the coldest of cold, hard facts.